Hello today, my dearest viewer. Welcome back to Into the Spiral. Today, and overdue, was it worth it? It's time to put on our old school attire, because Retro Studio is back with the 2023 egg hunt. That got cut in half by 4 months, effectively keeping all my notes in null space. Was it worth the wait? Well, first, I adore the way this game is able to so easily replicate the feeling of old Roblox events through some atmosphere and building tricks, and looking great doing it. I bet most viewers just took the eggs and left, which is a valid approach to events, but I'm here to analyze and commentate. So to me, it's key to analyze the world, because there's actually a bit of world building here which makes every world memorable and distinguishable. Starting with World 1, Sunnyside Isles is an island exploring ancient ruins and a volcano, which I found very pleasant to stroll along through. The little sub-areas keep this archetype quite fresh, I'd say. The event team. Oh yeah, Retro Studio has an official event team for this stuff now. Took this comparatively small map and made it into something really cool and tranquil, complete with its own little landmarks. As for world building, all these different areas and history, along with a seemingly lack of natives, basically turn this place into the Eggverse's tourist trap. Some are exploring for the hell of it, some trying to set up tennis courts, and some just chilling out. Overall, stellar work. Omelette Capital is a very warm and soothing city, having a very unique vibe to it. The city feels very expansive once you take the time to explore it. It's simply pretty, and I really like it. The sharper terrain also complements it quite well, with it cutting off into lower, open fields. It's probably my favorite map aesthetic-wise, as it just feels so cozy and relaxing. In the Eggverse, Omelette Capital is a residential zone with small businesses and expressions of creativity. I mean, there's an abandoned showground with 2 jesters, a full art museum, and did I mention the colossal gladiator arena? Side note, I love the recent trend of events referencing their predecessors, it's very cute. Something I thought was funny was, for one of the quests, the egg chef is figuratively and literally stealing from others' businesses. That got a good chuckle out of me. Overall, another knockout the park. And we continue this trend with ancient Egypt, as the longest standing city in the Eggverse, as one of its many NPCs puts it. There's modern tech here and there, but it's mostly just a desert. Not exactly all that original, but I don't mind, as I have a personal bias for desert levels. I also like the change in atmosphere at times to let things cool down. Story-wise, while there are native residents, they don't seem to care about outsiders, who create archaeology sites and pawn shops to profit off the treasures below. Even though it's personally the weakest world to me, I still believe it to be a good time. New York City is separated into 2 districts, a residential district and an industrial district, one with apartments, small diners, and movie theater, the other being a blinding bright blue industrial zone with big businesses, hazy blue lighting, and under construction skyscraper in the heart of it all. I like how it scales things out without needing to even make it that big through atmosphere and height. The interior building designs are also great, however the best had to be GGE Inc., with it being a smaller puzzle area. Paving for so much more detail. It's a lot cozier at the ground floor and very pretty at the top. Definitely my favorite location of the event. By contrast, the world building depicts a very mundane life, with depressed workers with miserable lives, always being sad about something, to the point the most interesting thing to them is some supposed rich party. It's so juxtaposed to the rest of the event that I found it almost hysterical. On the economic side, you got these cute billboards that advertise the other worlds and make corporations in New York, even specific areas like the Jester's Showgrounds. I like that they keep a sort of continuity here, make it all feel connected. Really cool world all around. And lastly, the center of the Eggverse. They really went all out on it. Everything just works with a good building and rich atmosphere. Every sub-world or planet here is memorable. We get Infernus, a fiery industrial planet that makes it stick out from the core with an ancient drill in the middle of it all. Labyrinth is a lush maze with a glass dome in the core. The Heavenly Planet is a collage of the past worlds as a refresher to what came before with an angelic twist on it. Lastly, we have the Egg Bowl, which is simply wonderful. Everything is so packed, it really feels like not a stub was wasted here. Being the main planet after all, world building also complements it greatly. For most of the game, they held back and kept things grounded in reality only to throw you into Super Mario Galaxy. The center itself being a diverse set of planets with these little sectors inhabiting it. And while I'll save this for much later, the event team also did a good job of giving everything a sense of finality, which is an obvious thing to have for a final world, but still, it's by far the most visually stunning, and I applaud the event team for managing to make these complex maps while also keeping the simplicity. Oh yeah, there's also World 6, but it's literally just old Roblox, so no further comments. Overall, yeah, I'd say this is the best looking event, down to the cute little dialogue boxes that bounce up, the little old Roblox references like movie posters, it all blends together super nicely. It literally stomps any other event when it comes to atmosphere, and I really love what's going on here. Anyways, gameplay, yeah, we got that. Well, personally, I'd like to get the negatives out of the way first before I just gush again, so...
Welcome to Retro Ranking, where with the scripts of the writer in my hands, I, the guy that birthed old Roblox, am here to write. Now as requested, it's time to rank this event for our wonderful community over at RetroDev. Anyways, at the way bottom is ancient Egypt. Not to insult my game's wonderful event team, but every location is drier than the sands they cling to, with the exception of the world's last egg, which is as dry as the Nile River. The other exception is the Pharaoh's Pyramid, which, while a nice obstacle course, is next to was essentially a bunch of carnival rides. The interest of the chief is confusing and comes across as a freebie. At least that's what the writer says. God, who wrote this? Oh yeah. They got the snake charter makes you take a flute and then you bring it to the snake to calm it down or something. It's a puzzle in the way an absolutely swashed drunken driver hating someone is a murderer. Yeah, okay, maybe it fits some criteria, but is it really the same thing? The rest are basically just freebies that are laying on the floor after having one too many Bloxy Colas. Cool designs and egg choices, but as dry as the limestone that makes up the pyramids.
And as dry as my voice, where I have to voice act you for 1 minute.
What? Inside Argo possesses less issues, as it's a much smaller world. The only things here are an obby with a lifeless corpse at the top, a wannabe goodnight egg from 2018, getting another person to stand on a plate, chasing a flying egg for 2 seconds before it crashes, and standing still for an alien hatchling to consume, or a coconut to drop on your head. Simple, but that's to be expected from this small forgotten land. The only problem is what there isn't, so it goes higher than the ancient Egypt template. All the capital's eggs also are purpose besides the cogs in the machine, though certain flaws rise from the cracks. Firstly, what's with the swimming mechanics? They do not serve a purpose, and they never get elaborated on. You got certain areas showing you how to swim, but that's it. I'd rather drown myself if it meant less resources were to be wasted. Speaking of wasted resources, you got this whole ass coliseum, and the only thing you can think of is British knife fights? Half the damn time, both fighters die because the game locked you into one button mode and gives you invincibility frames. Or presumably let others win. No thanks, I'd rather choke in my own blood. The Egg of Gestures has a nice obby, but once again, the mind of the beholder cannot grasp what you're even supposed to do past that. Just walking into it is all he remembers. Yeah, no thanks, I'd rather choke on... never mind. Though, if you're keeping track, you can see we're encountering less problem eggs as we go along, which we continue with the center of the Eggverse. Admittedly, it has a lot of filler eggs, though it makes sense to keep the eggs low in gameplay and hype up our grand finale. Or the writer just doubts himself in copium. Either way works. Other than that, the main eggs are all hits, though the lava egg seems to be cut short. But I guess my ideas for adjustments wouldn't be so feasible in my simple yet wonderful studio. You reach the bottom of the world after a unique cutscene and there's just the egg in the portal pack. The filler eggs are good enough for filler eggs for the most part, except the malicious egg. You probably wouldn't notice, didn't you? Still, solid. And lastly, New York City feels most complete and you didn't even eat the whole egg. Good job. There's nothing that's just up for grabs. You gotta interact with the world and not just walk around and hey look, I'm pretty sure this is calcium. Oh yeah, and they also fixed the gladiator egg and made it not buggy as hell. The one blunder though is the Phantom of the Egg, which doesn't have a parkour. Sorry, I meant fun parkour. Just a big back and forth plus some choose the correct path bullshit. Come on guys, did none of you learn from Super Mega Fun Hobby? Still, New York has very few cracks. Also, it has this. See? A true reflection of the wonderful community over at RetroDev!
Well, alright, that went smooth enough. Anyways, what were we on about? Oh yeah, the gameplay is amazing, and here's 100 reasons why. Number 1. This game has a hat and time controls, meaning it's automatically 100 times better, especially since both the super jump and dive are very smooth to use. And oh yeah, swimming too. We don't talk about swimming. But you know what's rad? You can use these to completely cheat the level design, and I'm pretty sure the event team actively encourages it. There's no invisible walls, so I'll just assume they want me to do this. There's a lot of skips you can do. Some may be less practical than others, but come on, who wouldn't want to learn that skill? So basically, for the retro builder egg, you're supposed to climb the skyscraper, and then there's this point where you see a platform. Now normally you're supposed to wrap around these boxes and super jump up on these platforms to get back to the platform you saw earlier, or you could super jump onto this crane and dive right at the perfect moment onto the platform, fraction of the time. I mean, I could Kurosabi how any old game would want me to, but why take the safe route when you can optimize the hell out of this? Like, this game is a breeding ground for beginner speedrunning. So yeah, movement slaps. Now it's time to talk about every other egg I like in this game. Firstly, the Lost Egg of Tribes sets up the idea of teamwork nicely, you know, does its job. At first, the egg of scale seemed quite boring. However, upon repeat, I noticed a risk-reward gameplay elements, intentionally or not, introduces the idea of using your gut and attempting skips, which is really cool and sets a nice precedent. And while the samurai egg isn't anything new, it's still cool. Overall, a good lineup of eggs that sets some foundation for how the event will play out. As for World 2, we got the Lost Egg of Ruins, which makes you locate objectives and communicate with others. I wish they could have done more, but it gets a pass from me. First time the Jester Egg was cute with a little obby that they let you easily jump back to, and I appreciate the world building even if the egg was confusing. Now, entering into World 3, I think I should address the free eggs, because they make up a lot of the eggs here. I know, not every egg can be a big thing, and my resentment towards them has simmered since last year. These just gotta be here to space out some other eggs. Really, I think just having you interact with the world a little is enough to make a freebie egg work. World 4 does this quite well, and the rest here, aside from World 3, at least have a gimmick or something that adds a little spice to it, like teleporting away or spawning somewhere where you are forced to take in the scenery and world. Plus with the added bit of mystery where they are at first. So I still enjoyed hunting them. Anyways, World 3 isn't all carnival rides, surprisingly. Firstly, the Lost Egg of Temples actually expands on the formula by making you take in the world and figure out certain details like color and apply them to puzzles, and forcing everyone to do some parkour to verify they were there. Now, fun fact, I actually tested the egg hunt before launch, meaning I got insider info, and there was originally supposed to be one last teamwork egg for World 4. That's why it feels like something's missing, if you're curious. Now, perhaps I was a bit unfair on the egg of the snake charmer, as it forces you to actually think about other uses for the tool you're given. Lastly, the Pharaoh egg was a good obstacle course past the maze that doesn't waste your time and ending with a sometimes broken boulder chase, which is good because it means I don't have to overcomplicate easy puzzles for an excuse to gush about those events. And now, for probably my favorite world, World 4 has nearly all my favorite eggs of the events, and it's easy to see why. Entire locations just throw a freebie with an exploration timer, to eggs that force you to interact with the world like the tabby egg or the radio egg, where you need to maneuver and utilize your abilities to lure the eggs into either being knocked out or cut off. There's also that snow globe egg, which just gotta use cool pads to game with vibes just for this world. And that's just the little ones. The egg of luck just takes the gladiator egg and makes it more balanced and actually promoting going in for the kill. The phantom of the egg, which though it does in my eyes, still provides a lot of nice world building with an entire gang underneath the surface. There's a professional and virtual builder egg which you test out skips and taking alternate paths. And finally, the golden goose egg, which was just plain awesome, man. With some neat puzzles that force you to actually analyze the room you're in, parkour to break things up, and the last puzzle being a Simon Says reference that doesn't overstay its welcome. Everything just clicks here, and I think that's great. Finally, World 5, the center of the Eggverse, manages to feel so much larger in scale in a lot of ways, but the way they use the eggs really makes it feel so much bigger. You have most of the eggs in the middle, which all make you interact with them in some way, like making someone else take the bait, or forcing you to line yourself up precisely in a hostile environment. And the rest of the eggs get their own planets, which are themselves the eggs. What can I say, it's genius. The Labyrinth egg was just a maze, but the presentation was on point, with his own mate cutscene to boot. The Infernus egg is a test of patience. I like that the key was to be slow and consistent instead of rushing it, which gives it a bit more depth to it. Once again, making you actually think of new strategies instead of strong-arming it. The Egg of Innocence is a great penultimate egg, refreshing you on the World 4 with a somewhat difficult obby. However, the best part to me is that it fully lets you spread your wings and pull as many batshit skips as you like. Want to skip to this palm tree? Sure can do. Want to skip them trees? Alright. Want to skip most of these platforms? Heh, well only if you got the skill. The risk reward system is at its peak here. You can do as many clutches as you want with the right amount of skill, while making it one hell of an egg. Okay, that's a lot of eggs. Gotta say, they did a really good job this time around, but we're not done yet. There's still the Time Walker egg, which gives them building up the entire world. They really make it feel grand without showing us anything. The building and atmosphere are epic in a sense. If your graphics are high enough, you can see the other planets from here, keeping things connected. They went all out in the atmosphere too, completely ditching the up until now grounded world to a hostile and more tightly packed environment than once before. I've said before, they really do not waste a single stud here. The presentation makes everything that much more impactful. So that being said, let's finish the event. Now, how does the Time Walker stack up? Other bosses from past events were good, but could be a lot better, and also Umbrella. So, let's see where this goes. Okay, so first of all, this boss is hard! The attacks are rampant, aggressive, and destructive, whittling down your HP fast, and the timer isn't exactly helping with the whole dodging thing, which means any chance you get to attack, you need to take. We got explosives, everyone, regular and heat-seeking, to pick your poison. Means to keep you in place and mess you up, means someone's gotta take care of the dirty work or you're all gonna get overwhelmed. You even gotta consider your teammates and what you need to do to keep the team alive and efficient. You can choose to run up to the madman and hit him, preferably when he goes to the middle, where you can jump him, or shoot him from afar with your egg cannon for a long cooldown that you may have to waste on egg minions. Or otherwise, be the guy that cleans up all the grunts while everyone takes out the final boss. With all this in mind, yeah, it's one hell of a juggling act. Always keeping you on edge with rampant chaos, and baby, I am in love! Gone are the days of damage punches that wait for you to attack, with slow attack patterns to make you wait for the weak point to show up. This is a real-ass boss fight for a real-ass game. And as for presentation, I mean, come on, you have eyes. It's everything a final boss should have on the gameplay spectrum, and taking that extra time to make a good final fight, that's something to be applauded, and that's something I adore. And to top it all off, World 6 lets you roam around an old Roblox-inspired map as simple eggs fall from the sky. After getting all of them, you can ascend up the sky tower and claim the last egg of the hunt, capping off the event. As you can tell, I'm in love with this event. It's just pure fun and feels awesome to play. It succeeds in being an actual egg hunt, unlike its predecessor, which I thought to be quite stale. With a lot of fun quests and stuff to do, especially in the last two worlds, there's next to no filler, and it's fun all around. And it's not just the gameplay. To my surprise, when combing through for this review, the world building was really good for a retro studio game. Hell, I'd say it does a majority of Roblox's catalog in that regard. Everything feels connected and every world is unique. Everything gets the spotlight. The worlds, the people in them, the locations, the eggs, everything is given what it needs to be an impactful part of the experience, and something worth having in the game. Except for the Time Walker. How'd they mess up the Time Walker? The answer was literally right in front of you! Now, while I adore his boss fight, as it shows how good retro studio games have the potential to be with enough time and effort, especially with a team of people working on it, it has a massive improvement from boss fights of the past. Thanks, event team! You've also to attract many Roblox villains fall to, which is that you get to build up from the start, and the game never mentions them again besides sparse name drops, or hell, even less until the grand finale when they're needed. As such, they're quite unmemorable. Now, listen, look, I'm not saying that the evil old Roblox dude needs a strong motivation, nor does he need any personal ties to the characters or player. Hell, being 100% real here, I guarantee that no one here cares or even really thinks about the display traits that aren't just, I'm evil, greedy, and want to take over so I destroy the world. Because it doesn't matter. This is an egg hunt from an old Roblox revival that aims to make a fun event for people to be excited about and feel nostalgic playing. Gameplay comes first, everything else is just icing on the cake. No, what I'm getting at here is that villains from the past, present, and in the future would really benefit and be more memorable if they had a real presence throughout the story. I mean, what have we got? A plot synopsis telling us who he is and that, yes, he's the villain. There's some dialogue that is altered from an NPC just to say, hey, here's where you fight the boss. Past that, he's completely unused until the finale where he needs to wake up. Besides that Bunny bot to tell us that, yep, this is where the final boss is. No one even acknowledges his existence. Imagine, for a second, if instead, over the course of the adventure, you see abandoned streets, people hiding in fear, just in general, people being scared of the end of the world. Or over at GGG Inc., instead of being closed because we aren't open right now, they're closing it down to hoard all their wealth for the upcoming apocalypse. And they let you in with the gold bar in hand because higher-ups want as much money in the vault as they can get. You know how ancient Egypt has a whole lot of just desert and clear skies? Okay, so like, what if you're having fun hunting, and then you look up to see a massive clock ticking away, or that one black hole from World 5 in the sky, just sitting there ominously, reminding you that you're here for a reason. Just subtle stuff like that would create a lot of build-up and hype surrounding this fight instead of, oh, so that's where the boss portal is, okay. Stuff like that gives these villains that the team spends so long making fights for more shelf life when it comes to memorability. I mean, look at Umbrella. The only reason I bet any of you who found him last year remember him right now is because the next Halloween event is coming, and that by proxy makes you remember the last Halloween event, and by proxy again, Umbrella. In fact, a lot of you still won't remember him that much if I didn't dedicate a few lines in this paragraph to him. Oh yeah, remember Ra? You know, the main villain of last year's Egg Hunt? That's right, you didn't. Not until I mentioned him just now because he's just forgettable. Like, from the top of your head right now, name one thing he does in the game besides just his boss fight. Point is, when the event they're attached to ends, these nobodies are nearly completely forgotten. So giving them some impact on the story, giving them a real presence, not only creates more hype around them when you have to face them in front of the event, but makes them more memorable to those who played. Still, I look forward to what the event team has in store later down the road. If this is anything to go by, we're pretty much set. And I for one can't wait to see what they do next. So, big question. Wasn't it worth it? Well, yeah, fucking course it was. I spent like the last 20 minutes praising it. There's next to no filler, pretty much everything I found good about this game, and the building is better than ever. Seriously, look at this, it's absolutely gorgeous! So, where does it go on the ranking? Well, I'm happy to say that once again, this event takes a cake as the best one. Because while I enjoyed all of the round 2 events, Umber Halloween has as many flaws as there are pros, and while I really liked holiday games, it had some blind spots, which are hard to overlook in a smaller event. Egg Hunt 2023 is bigger and better than its predecessors, especially in regards to last year's Egg Hunt, which was just okay. As it had a lot more eggs, I felt like filler, and I suppose the important ones were just cool, I guess. So yeah, that's a wrap. I'll be patiently waiting for what's ever being cooked up next. As the first event of round 3, Halloween 2023 is looking to be a grand time, with a full-on paintball tournament to go along with Hallow's Eve. I like that they're doing contests again and putting them right next to the big events. Both parts got a lot of potential, and I for one can't wait to see what the event team does next. Now subscribe, or I swear I'll make retro ranking a permanent segment. Don't think I won't. Don't you dare think that I won't. Don't you dare.